The first thing I noticed was her legs, bare, smooth, crossed slowly beneath the kitchen table as the late evening light poured through the window behind her. Claire Thompson looked nothing like the exhausted, grieving mother I remembered from the funeral 2 years earlier. Tonight she looked dangerous. Her blonde hair fell loosely over one shoulder, still slightly damp from a shower. She wore an oversized, white shirt that slipped just enough to expose the curve of her collarbone, and every time she leaned forward, the soft scent of vanilla drifted across the table and wrecked my concentration. "You're staring again," she said quietly, lifting her wine glass. I looked away immediately. "Sorry. You always apologize when you look at me." My throat tightened, because she was right, and because looking at her had become impossible not to do. It started innocently enough. A broken fence, one phone call, one lonely afternoon that neither of us expected would change everything. But now sitting across from her in the dim kitchen light while rain tapped softly against the windows, nothing felt innocent anymore. "You nervous?" she asked. "A little." "Why?" I laughed once under my breath. "Claire, you're my best friend's mom." The words hung heavily between us. She lowered her eyes for a moment before speaking again. "You know what's strange?" "What?" "You stopped calling me Mrs. Thompson." I swallowed hard, because I hadn't even noticed when that happened. Silence stretched between us, thick and electric. Then she stood slowly from the table and walked toward the sink, her hips moving with a softness that made my chest ache. I shouldn't have been watching, but I was. God, I was. "You know," she murmured, rinsing her wine glass, "after Mason died, I stopped feeling like a woman." The honesty in her voice hit harder than I expected. I stared at her quietly. She continued without turning around. "I became the grieving mother, that's all people saw." Her fingers tightened around the glass. "Nobody looked at me anymore." My voice came out rough. "I look at you." She froze. The rain outside seemed louder suddenly. Slowly, she turned toward me. Her eyes searched mine carefully, almost cautiously. "Yeah," she whispered. "You do." Every nerve in my body tightened. I should have left right then. I knew that. But instead I stood, and the second I did, the air between us changed completely. Claire didn't move away. Neither did I. Apart now, close enough to feel warmth, close enough to hear each other breathe. "You have any idea how wrong this is?" she asked softly. "Every second." "Then why are you still here?" "Because you're lonely. Because I'm lonely too. Because every time you smile at me, I forget how guilty I'm supposed to feel." But none of those words came out. Instead, I said the truth. "Because I can't stop thinking about you." Her breath caught, and then finally she touched me. Just her fingertips against my chest at first. Tentative, careful, like she was afraid I might disappear. "You shouldn't say things like that," she whispered. "Why?" "Because I want to believe them." I looked into her eyes then, really looked, and underneath all the tension and attraction and uncertainty, there it was. Loneliness. The kind that settles deep inside someone after too many silent nights. The kind that changes a person slowly. Without thinking, I reached up and brushed a strand of hair away from her face. Her eyes closed instantly at the touch, and that small reaction nearly destroyed my self-control. "Claire." She looked at me again, lips parted slightly. Then she whispered the words that shattered every remaining boundary between us. "Kiss me." The moment our lips met, years of restraint disappeared. The kiss wasn't wild at first. It was slow, hungry in a quiet way, like both of us had spent far too long pretending we didn't need anyone. Her fingers curled into my shirt while mine settled carefully against her waist, pulling her just slightly closer. She melted against me with a soft breath that made my heart pound harder. And suddenly this wasn't just attraction anymore. It was grief, healing, loneliness, need, all tangled together. When we finally pulled apart, neither of us spoke immediately. Claire rested her forehead against mine, eyes still closed. "I miss this," she admitted shakily. "What?" "Feeling wanted." The vulnerability in her voice hit me harder than the kiss itself. I held her a little tighter. "You are wanted." She laughed softly, though emotion still trembled underneath it. "You have no idea what you're doing to me right now." Honestly, neither did I. All I knew was that touching her felt terrifyingly natural. She stepped back slightly, studying my face. "You look so much older now," she murmured. "I am older." "No," a faint smile touched her lips. "I mean, different." I knew what she meant. Losing Mason had changed both of us. There were parts of ourselves buried with him, but somehow standing here together, it felt like we were pulling each other back into the light. The thunder cracked loudly outside, making her flinch instinctively. Without hesitation, I pulled her closer again, and this time she didn't hide how much she needed it. her arms wrapped around my neck as she buried her face against me. "I hate storms," she mumbled. "I know." She blinked up at me. "You remember that? Mason told me everything about you." A sad smile crossed her face. "He adored you." I adored him too. For a moment, grief passed silently between us again, but this time it didn't separate us. It connected us. Claire touched my cheek gently. "He would have hated seeing us like this," she whispered. "Maybe. You don't believe that." I exhaled slowly. "No." "Why not?" "Because Mason knew us both better than anyone. Because he knew how lonely you got after your husband left. Because he knew I never had a real family until your house became one. Because somehow this doesn't feel like betrayal. It feels like survival." Instead, I simply said, "I think he'd want us to be okay." Tears filled her eyes instantly. Then she kissed me again. Harder this time. Desperate. Years of loneliness poured into that kiss, and I felt every second of it. Her hands slid into my hair while mine held her carefully, like she was something fragile and precious at the same time. The kitchen faded away around us. The rain, the thunder, the guilt. All of it disappeared. There was only her, only this moment. Only the terrifying realization that somewhere along the way, I had fallen completely in love with my best friend's mother. And judging by the way she looked at me now, she was falling too.